lived in UK. But
That's
currently,
true.
you live in Canada.
Culturally, well, firstly, it's a great question. Culturally, I would say
Hello,
it,
everybody. Welcome to our English podcast. Officially, we are kicking off this amazing meeting. I've been waiting for a while to like this specific day. And finally, I met a very interesting English teacher. And best of all, she's a native one. And it's kind of it's priceless to me that she accepted this invitation. And I won't say anything more. I would like to you, Emily, just introduce yourself. Emily, I have so many kickoff questions, but I want you to tell who are you? Who are Emily? Or who Emily is really? So tell me, feel free to introduce yourself.
Thank you. So, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's amazing that we can connect, even though we live so far away in completely different countries. But yes, so my name is Emily. I am an English teacher, and I'm also the founder of English Rose Academy, which is a British English speaking academy, and it's for mostly women but also children.
Absolutely amazing. And that is exactly the question I do have about. So guys, if you're not following us here on our YouTube channel, and if you don't know, you have no idea what's going on here, just follow here out of blue. So I'd love to ask you first, click on the like button, second, follow us here. And if you want to know about a little bit more about Emily, about English Resi Academy, you definitely should go to a description of this video. No matter where you'll be watching, you could be watching on us here on YouTube, maybe on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, and all those profiles you're gonna find out the link of English Resi Academy right down below or right above the video. So stay tuned because this video it's promising to be one of the best. Because Emily, I'd love to ask you three questions before we dive into the suggested topic. Because
Of
I
course.
was just searching a few ideas, a few insights. I think we already set up the main topic of this video or the theme of the
Mhm.
video, which is real tips that actually help English learners. So, are you aware that is exactly the topic that we're going to be discussing here?
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. Um, it's something that lots of teachers speak about, but it's interesting to get a new perspective and also to hear from you that has also learned English as a foreign language.
Yeah.
It's really important to have that dialogue.
Yeah, I think I mean from my perspective, I'm still like there are a long path ahead yet to achieve the level I reached to do or to reach the level I wanted. But
Mhm.
having like people like you closer, like a real English teacher, like you, I mean, you were born and raised speaking English, and that is
Mhm.
incredible. I mean, there are tons of topics or a lot of topics that I would love to dive into. But first, before we move into or we dive into the topic, I want to ask a question here. People usually, probably they will be asking here on the chat. And the question is, tell me, you lived in UK. You was born and raised in UK, am I right?
Mhm.
But
That's true.
currently, you're living in Canada. So tell me, what surprised you the most you about Canada or the Canadian culture? So tell me, is there anything different? What was the main difference between your cultures?
Culturally, well, firstly, that's a great question. Um, Culturally, I would say it's the level of friendliness here in Canada. Um, it's something that really took me by surprise. You know, people in the UK often get this stereotype that maybe down south in England, they're a bit cold, and maybe up north, a bit more friendly. But I never really saw the clear difference. But if I compare, England to Canada, oh my goodness, people are really friendly here, and especially as like an immigrant, I do feel like I was really welcomed.
Wow, honestly,
Yeah.
I've heard that like people from the UK or England in general, they are colder than other parts of the region of the
Mm.
globe, but not too hard. I mean, for instance, I do live in a city. I'm not sure if you know, but I live in the south region of Brazil, and I was born and raised in a city that it's widely known in Brazil as the the bridge city, Brazilian bridge city. It's called Curitiba. I'm not sure if you ever heard about it. Curitiba
No, I
is,
haven't.
yeah, is in the city like in the south region, the state of Paraná, is the capital city of it. And the reason they usually say is because people are not so so friendly at the first scene, at the first time they meet you. They won't walking across you and on the streets and say hello, good morning, or good evening. They won't say anything that it's not
Yeah.
common for us. But that doesn't mean, I
Hmm.
mean, we are just like too close to new friends. That's not the truth. But people say, and one of the things that make people think that Curitiba is a rich city is that they used to say that about our weather. The weather and seasons here are pretty we can have sometimes the four seasons of the year in just a day. It starts really
Wow.
cold, and then in the middle of the morning will be raining, and then afternoon will be very very hot, and at evening it starts getting cold again, a lot of fog and something like that. So yeah, that's the reason they usually say it's a bridge city, like the weather and so on. But
Wow.
I love the way you brought here that you brought it the topic of people will be a little bit more warmer in like Canada than they actually is in UK. Okay, that's okay. I
Hmm.
can respect that. And I would say that what's one thing Brazilians learn? I'm not sure. I probably already have, or like some Brazilians learner, or some people that comes to you from Brazil. And what are the
Hmm.
one thing that Brazilian learners would be surprised to learn about British people? So, is there anything that, for instance, I'm a Brazilian one. I think you were the very first person I am meeting, like having a long chat here from British
Wow.
from the UK. That's the very first
Hmm.
time. I've met a few, but like
That's
two
great.
minutes, 3 minutes, just having a short conversation.
Just brief. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what would you say? Like, what would be the interesting thing for Brazilians once knows about British?
Hmm. Okay, about the British. Now, obviously, I can't speak for all Brits, um, but if we're talking generally, I would say that not everybody drinks tea. It's
Okay.
something really silly. It's really
No
silly, but
way.
it's a misconception.
Oh, I had that view in my mind. Now I'm gonna take. I had to change everything I know. I thought I knew about the rich people. I thought that, like, I usually thought about the queen on the palace and Buckingham Palace, or maybe like drinking her teas. So that's
Hmm.
just very fancy. I love it. I mean, I think that rich people are too fancy, are too, I don't even know how to describe it. I would say fancy would be not the right word to say, but it's very very beautiful to see the way like British people love tea. And I think it's healthier than coffee, to be quite fair. I'm addicted, definitely addicted to coffee, and I don't think that's good. I can't spend even a day without drinking a cup of coffee or anything. But okay, tea. Are you now? The question is: are you more into tea or more into coffee? So now you are not living in UK anymore. You are living in Canada. So tell me, have you already like catch the Canadian ideas about drinking and kind of drinks?
It's a big part. The coffee culture is really big here in Canada. That's true. Um, but you know what? I'm a tea girl at heart. I love herbal teas. I don't drink so much black tea, but yeah, I love a hot drink. But yeah, here there's definitely a strong coffee culture, and especially a strong like takeaway culture.
Oh,
So if you just go out to the shops, or pop to the shops, as we like to say in England, when we pop to the shops here in Canada, you will see most people holding a takeaway cup with a hot or cold drink. That's
okay.
something that's maybe less common in England anyway. But here it's kind of like mandatory. If you're going shopping, you're gonna pass by a coffee shop or Tim Hortons or something and grab a drink to go.
Okay, that's the beauty of life. I love each country has
Yeah.
their own way to take their lives going on. But okay, now next part, let's jump into the part that really matters. I just wanted to warm up, let people know you and a little bit more about English University Academy. So I just before diving into the question, to like you tell me a little bit more about your life project, which is like English University Academy. So where did that come from, and what are the main reasons? Could you just freeze again, just walk me through again? I know you just gave us here on a pop up about what exactly it is, but could you add a few more things about it? English University Academy, where did that come from?
Of course, yeah. So I created English Rose Academy. It didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's something that has, been created over time. I've been teaching for almost 5 years. So through that experience, I realized, the textbooks that I was given to teach my students wasn't they weren't doing it. They were quite basic and focusing on grammar. Just not very practical for day-to-day English, and that is what many of my students struggle with. They understand a lot of grammar, they know a lot of vocabulary, but when it comes to talking to someone in English, speaking with them, they freeze. So I wanted to create a place where professionals can come together, network, and practice real English rather than just textbooks. Now, textbooks are great, but in moderation, I think,
Okay,
which is
makes
a
sense.
little bit different to some other teachers' methodology. But this is what works for my students. It's that we focus completely on conversation. So, for example, in each lesson, whether it's one-on-one or small group sessions, the students are speaking, for around between 70 to 80% of the lesson, which is a lot compared to your usual English class.
Absolutely. It's incredible. But I mean, is that really possible? I mean, like focus more on speaking because people in Brazil, they are really addicted to that. They do have this in mind.
Mhm.
They want to find someone that teaches them speaking, but they usually came to us like without any base. Like they don't have nothing. They just want to learn English, but they have no idea where to start. And that's the reason they came to us. But I want you like say it again. Is that really possible to teach someone like focus like 70% of their English like studies, their English studies by speaking, by like listening, by instead of writing? Because again, I do hate writing and do some exercises. That's not a thing, not anymore. I mean, nowadays we live in a technological boom, so you know,
Mhm.
walk me through that. Is that really possible? Tell me about your experience.
Definitely. Definitely. I can say that, my students with the highest level of fluency don't have the best grammar. You know, Accuracy does not equal fluency. That's something that's really
Nice.
important. It's taken me a while to fully understand that. I've only really understood that from, by learning languages myself, that if you focus so much on accuracy, yes, you will have accurate sentences, but you might sound like a robot, and why would you want to speak to a robot when you can speak to a human?
Nice, nice. That makes sense. I mean, it's obvious, but in Portuguese, we do have a quote that says the obvious
Mm-hmm.
must or have to be said, have to be talked about it. So you need to talk about, even that it sounds to be obviously, you need to reinforce that. Sometimes we are so, attached to our busy routine, busy daily busy routine, and we just forgot the simple things. And now we brought up again, if you want to become good at maybe speaking, what should you be doing in order to reach that level, that target? Of course, you should be like doing exactly what you want to do. If you want to become, I mean, I'm not like guy, but if you want to become richer, like, would you like, don't you rather be like prefer to be like closer or nearby richer people, to know what they think, to know what they do, to know how do they did the reach level. So it's the same for English, it's the same for doctors, it's the same for, so we need to create environment. That's the point. And guys, take notes about that. So the first tip is already like done. The first tip is already live
Mm-hmm.
here on the air, and I hope you capture, guys, because that's very good. So it's possible. So English Literacy Academy is telling us here right now that she also use and her methodology that speaking like 70% of the class. Of course, here and there will be some things that we must adjust, but that is just tweaks, like small tweaks. Okay, I want you now join us here on the first question. Guys, we now, to be honest, we now are joined to the topic that we prepared to this video here. At this moment, from this moment before, we were just like walking around, just warming up, just enjoy the time. And now I want to make the first question. I want to ask the first question here. So tell me, if you had to start learning English from zero today, what would you do?
Okay, well, you're obviously going to need a little bit of grammar to understand the basics. But it's important not to focus too much on what I would call the nitty gritty. That's like the real details, you know? It's so easy to get caught up in these mistakes that you're making or, you know, creating the perfect phrase or sentence. But you're going to learn the most through making mistakes. But not only making mistakes, but having somebody who can correct you.
Great point. Great point.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we just say, "Oh, we grab too hard on that phrase that you just gave here." You said, "Oh, don't matter. Don't focus on the mistakes, no matter how many mistakes you do." And I heard that phrase many times. It's that true? Maybe that phrase is there's a certain like truth on that's quote on that statements or that methodology. But I love the way you brought up the end. I mean, am I doing right? Is that the right way to build a sentence, or maybe the pronunciation? Would I be understood if I was like in an English environment? So yeah, it's important, guys. Not at the beginning, as Emily just brought up here, just like told us that we need to start speaking earlier in our life. And again, Emily, tell me about a thing that really came to my mind. You being an English teacher, you being an English native speaker, have you ever heard about some applications called like Duolingo? Like I'm gonna use Duolingo as an example here, but there's like many applications out there. How would you rate, I mean, in terms of useful, those applications to people that have zero English knowledge? So would you or have you already did that, like advise your students or advise someone to like go to Duolingo first and go to some application first, then start from there?
No. No.
Okay.
The simple answer is no, but I think those apps are great, you know, fun. They're
Yeah.
great fun, but when you're really serious about wanting to speak a language, it's not enough, you know. It's like playing games. It's great. You're going to be, you know, practicing some vocabulary, but there's not that natural interaction that's happening. Then, you know, imagine you're going to a pizza restaurant or you're going to a coffee shop and you're ordering something, and then they ask a question that you've never heard before. You can't take out your Duolingo app, you know. You have to be able to react in the language, you know, and you're not going to learn that through an app. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. Okay. Okay. I mean, it really now you hurt my feelings because I use it.
Sorry.
Not anymore, of course, but I'm just kidding. I mean, you are absolutely right. I agree 100%. I couldn't agree more, to be fair, because I use it. I won't lie here. I use it like Duolingo. I would say the name. We are not here to judge any technology. So, but I totally agree because up on a certain time, it will be very useful. But afterwards, like after you like a few times, you as you get advanced, as you get better, as you improve, I think it becomes a time robber, if a time robber, I would say, because it's just a
Yeah,
waste of time.
a waste of time, exactly.
I do have a daughter. My daughter is 15 years old. She's a rated English speaker. She does speak as well. She has an English YouTube channel. To be fair, she built her English YouTube channel. She's
Oh,
trying.
amazing.
Yeah, it's very nice to see her. And to be quite fair, I had nothing to do with her English. She did by herself. She just,
Wow.
yeah, saw and watched me for a while, and she just started reading and watching. And why I'm telling that? Because she just began with like some applications. I remember the day she was sitting on the couch and just playing Duolingo and things like Brazil. It's famous Duolingo, but there I'm not sure in Europe. I'm not sure in Canada and North
Yeah, it's
America.
very famous.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but anyway, I use it too. But
Me
nowadays,
too.
really,
There's
no,
no
no,
bad.
you don't
There's
need
no
it. No.
I mean, I don't use it. I don't use it for English, but I
Okay.
use it for other languages. I can show you what I learned. So
Ah,
um, I learned some Swedish. So during
okay. Now
during
it's a challenge. Swedish.
yeah,
Okay.
I learned a little bit of Swedish. I can say jagen and spindle, which means I am a spider. So that's how useful that is.
How did they say I am in Sweden?
Jagen.
Jargon. Okay, we got it. We have the
Yeah.
first step here again. So that's how we learn.
Hmm.
See, that's how we learn a language. Now I know jargon. I am okay. Maybe I did not pronounce in the right intonation here, but that's not the focus on the first time, guys. So the focus is
Yeah.
first trying to understand a little bit better, and while you are like once you are advanced and once you develop, you just improve your accuracy or things like that. Now I would say you answer. It's totally answers. Like if you had to start from now again from zero, like today, could you summarize again just to answer here? If you had to start from zero, where should you start? Or again, could you come again? Like in one sentence, where would you start if you want to start from zero?
So I would start with just the basics of grammar, present tense, past
Present, past.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, you don't necessarily need the future because you're just practicing basic English. And an activity that you could do is just try to make sentences. I am drinking tea. You can, have this dialogue whilst you go through your day. And so that you're expressing out loud. That's what's really important because you need to get comfortable with listening to yourself speak in English, which is kind of, it feels strange at first. When you're speaking a different language, it's like, ooh, that doesn't sound like me,
It's
you
scary. I
know?
mean, it makes you feel like an idiot because we are in fun. Sometimes what I did was I went in front of the mirror and I tried to speak out louder, to say louder the words, not only
Mm-hmm.
think about the words, but say it out loud and make my mouth, and try to get to make my muscles mouth used to the language and to shape my brain to understand that what I'm saying is not in my native language, but it's not necessarily wrong.
Exactly.
It's a hard barrier at the first like speaking. I mean that we talk about the biggest slips English learners make in usually daily life. So for instance, what are in your opinion the most common slip you heard?
Well, I can't say that there's anything that's annoying, um, because when you are a linguist yourself, which is what I call all my students. All of my students are linguists because they're learning a language. But once you understand the process of learning a language, you don't really get annoyed with people, when they're learning. You do need a lot of patience as a teacher. But if I could say something, maybe like a mistake a common mistake, a reoccurring mistake that I see is that some of my students think that having an accent is a bad thing. And it's really not. If you
Well,
are understood, that is what matters. You don't have to have received pronunciation or, you know, um, uh, Liverpudlian accent or, you know, a London accent. You don't need that. If you are understood, that's what's important.
Amazing. Amazing tip. And guys, take this, like, you can take this tip away with you guys because it comes right from a native speakers that now she does have her own English school. She teach people all over the world. She does have many English students, and it's not like coming from myself, like it's not coming from Alex, which is another English second learner, I mean a second language learner. I'm not being like I have been learning English for the latest 8 years, guys, and I'm still struggle with a lot of things. I do me myself. I consider English a life, like a life process. You know, it's not a thing that will. I don't even like set an end, set a, like a deadline to finish my studies because I'm sure once I do that, I definitely will be mistaken because there will be many new things I will put like face to face and that I won't know. I won't have the skills to deal with in certain times. So and then I usually say I'm an eternal English learner. So, and the question you just brought up here is definitely makes sense. People think that accent is a problem. Guys, no way. I totally agree with Emily. I mean, I heard that from many people. People say, "Oh, there's a lot of courses out there, a lot of courses on internet, a lot of people trying to, grab students and to, selling their products, and that's okay. Like that's the part of the process." But saying some things like "speak English like a native," there's a lot of course. Of course, you can do it. It's good, but it's good only for those who already are in a good level of English, grammar, fluence, and they now are trying to move a level up. And if that's the case, it could be useful. But be aware that it's not a requirement, as Emily mentioned. English accent is not a problem. Definitely, of course, you need to be understood. Please, there are a few things that I'm still struggling because I mean, I speak with English with people from a lot of countries, and I think there are hardest accent than others. That they're hardest than others. Like for instance, Asian. It's hard for me to understand in a few times, but it's not that accent. Is more their pronunciation problems. Is like we do also. I can identify easily. I can understand and communicate with them because I'm also an English learner and I know exactly what they are trying to do. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think their accent is beautiful. I love like British accent. I love American accent. It's great to understand because they all speaking the same language and the communication is done. So that's okay. How to become fluent faster? That's a topic. That's a question that I think everybody that will be watching us here now and further, they will be seeking to hear from you. Tell me, as an English native speaker, as an English teacher, is there any way that will make us become fluent faster than usual?
Now, everybody wants to learn the fastest possible way to improve their English, but you have to really think about what is your goal. If you want a quick fix, then doing an intensive course might be a great option for you. But if you are looking for like longevity, if you're looking at, you know, really feeling fluent, not just, having lots of vocabulary or being able to talk about lots of different topics. But if you want to, really connect with other English speakers, then don't rush the process. So many teachers say this, but it's because it's true, and consistency is really key. You know, if it's like going to the gym, if you go to the gym 8 hours one day each month, it's not going to make a difference. You're going to be, the next day you're going to be out. But doing a good 20 minutes each day, you'll go way further.
Okay, so then let me see if I got it here. You are I think you were talking about a topic that I have been defending like for many years in my study, and I sometimes I even have a few arguments with my wife because she said, "Alex, she said you are too much focus on your English. You need to take a few step out of your computer, of your books, of your. And I told her usually, so you had to understand a thing. I really want to, I really want to speak English, and I think commitment and consistency are the keys. I'm not the best student. I can tell you that. I'm not the best, and I usually like when I say argument, I'm not saying like it was just different opinion about it because my wife don't see English, didn't saw English at the time. Now she's studying. To be fair, I must say that she's studying. She's a software engineer, so she saw the needs and she trying to learn as well. But in general, I usually say that consistency and commitment. So is that what you're trying to say? Like it depends on each one's consistency, each one's commitment. How many time are you spending?
Definitely. Consistency is so important, because, your motivation is going to go up and down. Your
Oh, I was
self-confidence
about
is
to
going to
ask
go.
about that. The next question will be, what do you say about motivation? You just gave it here for free. Now,
I
go
read your
ahead.
mind.
Yeah,
I'm telepathic.
motivation. Tell me about motivation. So, like, throw it together, throw all together at me. So, what motivation is, in your opinion, and compare motivation with consistency and commit. Again, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. So yeah, consistency is really, really important because consistency is going to be there, to push you through when you don't feel motivated. Because even though it might not be 20 minutes every day, you might have one day that it's 5 minutes, but 5 minutes is better than zero. So it really accumulates over time. If you are, just talking about your day or having a chat with a friend or having a conversation class, that 20 minutes each day is going to build up over time. But then, so it's interesting what you say about motivation, because motivation is it's mostly internal when you're learning languages. It's really linked to your confidence, to if you're seeing results or not, which lots of English learners, they have to study a long, long time to see results. But yes, the motivation can come from setting small, achievable goals. Like in your first week of practicing English, you could say, "Oh, my goal will be to say hello to somebody in the street, or to start a conversation, or to speak up in a meeting in English." Have a goal for yourself for the week, for the month, and then you will feel a lot more motivated.
Absolutely amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the question is, I think you already answered here. Definitely already answered. You already better. You did this very well. So then the question that states is now I think is one of the very important one. To be fair, is the VIP question. Is motivation reliable? Yes or not? So people understand better here once and for all.
No, motivation is not reliable. It is not.
Okay, you made a lot of people sad now. I'm sure they will be watching this. They'll say, "Oh, I thought that, for instance, I want to go to the gym, but I'm not motivated to go to the gym today." So, will you be motivated every single day to go to the gym? I would say that I want. For instance, yesterday I went to do my workouts. I like to do like outdoor activities. I'm more calisthenics, like a guy. I do calisthenics. I do like I run a few times, aerobic exercises in
Nice.
general. And I wasn't motivated at all. I was feeling really, really exhausted. But guess what? After I came back, like after I did my workouts, I felt energetic. I don't know where that energy came from, but
Mm-hmm.
it really came and I felt really well. My brain starts working really faster, and I saw like the light of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel was shows up, and that is the same with English. I think even if you are not motivated, do it. Maybe after 1, 2, 3 months, you won't even notice that you are studying. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think I try to do this. Okay, Emily, I am an English student. I'm still an English student. I call myself an English coach because the main thing I do is coaching others, not teaching others. I mean, I tell them, guys, it's okay, it's normal. I'm still learning. Yes, I mean, look at me. Take a look on my channel. Take a look on our videos. I still making mistake. But if I decided to stop just because of those things, well, those slips I had, or those tricks I need to do, I wouldn't be here talking with like Emily right now, guys. So it's amazing, like once we overcome our fears and our challenges, isn't it, Emily?
Definitely. No, I think your anecdote there about you working out yesterday is so relatable. Um, because we often give a lot of power to how we feel and our thoughts, but we have to remember what we want, what's our goal, and yeah, you remained consistent despite having a lack of motivation that day, which is completely human.
Absolutely. I already asked you about consistency, and it was already. To be fair, I wasn't even follow our script. I wasn't even followed, but I just noticed that the question was indeed in our script for this video script here, and I would say, what slow learners down the most?
Now, this may shock some people, but it really is waiting to feel ready. Waiting to feel ready to speak, waiting to feel ready to, go for that job or, take that opportunity or, start a podcast. You can't wait until you're ready because you're never really ready. You just have to start.
Absolutely true. I mean, for people won't even know, and maybe you wouldn't even know too if I didn't mention. But I wasn't feel like ready enough. I wasn't feel like enough to join this meeting because again, I got nervous to talk to you as an English native speaker, as an English coach and teacher for years. It's like there'll be always that feeling, but I learned from a psychologist in Brazil, and she told the thing once I was in my technical graduation, and she mentioned that uh, whenever you feel like anxious, afraid, or apprehensive before doing something, it's just your body, your mind tell you that something huge is about to happen. You are like realizing something that you have been thinking important to you, or that you
Mm-hmm.
made a huge difference in your life. So that is only our immunologic system that's answering and tell, oh, is there's something huge about to happen. It could be for good or worse, of course, for better or worse, but it's something huge about to happen. Don't you do you agree with that philosophy? I mean, sometimes you feel
Yeah.
nervous. I'm not sure.
Definitely. I mean, I
Yeah,
felt
tell me.
nervous before this podcast.
No,
To
you
to be
won't. No,
honest, I felt
no.
nervous too. Yeah, this is my first podcast, so I was a bit nervous, but it's because I care. I care about
Love it.
how what the results are. How our conversation goes. I want to make sure that I am giving great advice and that I'm being myself. That's sometimes difficult to do in front of a camera.
Absolutely. But I love the phrase here. I will even use that phrase. Like while when I will be editing this video, I will do some shortcuts
Mm-hmm.
on short on this part of the video because you mentioned
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong. It's just because I care. I was nervous because I care about it.
Mm-hmm.
it matters. So wow,
Exactly.
it's simple but really really true. Now, there were a phrase before we start here that I was about to bring it up, and let me just see if you agree. I think we both already used that phrase before, and it's a phrase that before, like people usually came here to say, to watch us talking about English, talk about how can we get better, how can we, but there's a thing that I like usually bring with myself wherever I go. I brought to myself is before we are cultures, English cultures, we also English learners. Not English, but I would say before we are coaching anything, we were English learners. We are learners as well. So what does that phrase want to say or to tell us here is that, guys, we are here, we are like having our challenges, we're overcoming our challenges every day, and this is not different. Like, and the thing most important is we are not like the owner, the true owner. So like we do have many other things to learn and to improve and to develop, and so some points to reach in our life and some targets that we have to ourselves. Like no matter if, like for instance, Emily is a native speaker, so people will say, oh Alex, what are the kinds of targets that Emily still have to learn? So still have to, because she's a native speaker. So as this is an English podcast, it's a podcast talking about English to learn and develop. So now tell me, Emily, being a native speaker, the question that I want to ask you is there anything that you still want to accomplish, like in terms of not learning English, but to make you a better English coach? So is there anything that you are pursuing? Is there
Wow.
anything that you are like targeting now?
Nice. I really like that question. Um, it's really insightful because I believe that as a teacher, you know, it's your duty to be constantly learning. Um, it's why I am learning other languages so that I can almost, you know, stand in the place of my students and understand what they're going through. You know, that feeling of having sweaty palms before the lesson, or not having time to study during the week because life is busy. All of those things I have understood through becoming a student again. So I've taken a break now, but I was taking Spanish lessons and I take Arabic lessons. So I make sure that I take 2 lessons a week. And that for me is like the minimum. It has to be 2 lessons a week. And that way, I'm reminding myself that I always have things to learn.
Definitely, definitely. So that's the build. I mean, guys, stay humble, stay focused, be consistent. And I think everything or a lot of things that Emily brought up to this English meeting made us just remind that we will learn. If we don't give up, if we keep consistent with our English, and of course, if we find a very good methodology and a very good guide. There are tons of questions, but I won't ask anything more here to Emily because I will lead here us to the next podcast that where we'll be bringing some technical devices here or technical features that you can be applying to your English routine, your English daily studies. But Emily, I think we covered a lot of parts. It wasn't that deep on this first one, but I want
Mhm.
people that I've just let people know here. For those who comment here on this video on our YouTube channel, for those who check it out, the link of English Brazil Academy, they just need to call me because they will gain. I will prize them with an English book where they can start getting interesting in their English learning process. If they are English learner, probably they already are because if they come to the end of this video, up to the end of this video, they understood. If they understood, they probably have a great English vocabulary already. So I'm gonna give as a gift for all of them that comment below here in our YouTube channel. And also, if they follow and start following English Ruzi, they just needed to come and remind me here on our TikTok account too. I will send them freely a very good English book that it can be practicing. It can be, it's gonna be a very thematic English book. It's a reading, it's a short story. There are tons of it, just for you know, but I choose a very specific, a very special one to give for our followers and to give for the people who interact here on the comments below. And again, I want you, like Emily, invite again people to follow you and also to go to our English Academy. And I want you make the call here for them. So feel free. That's your turn.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for watching today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And if you're interested in having an English coach and you're a female professional, you want to feel fluent in English, then you can visit my website, www.englishroseacademy.com. You can find me using the same name on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and I shall be starting a YouTube very soon, which is called English Rose Official. So there we go. There
Absolutely
are all my
amazing.
contacts.
Absolutely amazing. And again, guys, all her links will be right below on the description of this video. And yeah, so wait us for our next video because again, this was the very first time I just want to introduce English Rosy Academy for all of you. And also it was a very good pleasure for me. It was my very first podcast with a native English speaker. And she was so friendly, so kind to accept this invitation. So I'm really grateful to your time, Emily. It was an amazing
Thank
chat.
you.
And I hope you
It
will
really
chat the next
was.
time too. If you'd like to come here, we will be
Yeah, of
able to do
course.
this. Okay.
It was great fun. Thank you.
Thank you.